Welcome to Mac Football Forever. I'm Alex. That's Caleb. It's off-season mode, which means we are talking about stuff that's not happening on the field. Well, I mean, I guess in one case we will be, but pretty much all we have to talk about is off the field because that's what happens in the off-season. Caleb, how cold is it in your neck of the neighborhood?
It's a very casual winter, like 30 degrees here in Evanston. Chicago got hit with a little bit of snow in the last couple of days. Nothing big enough for me to create like a big old sculpture of Frank Solich in the snow yet. So when we get to that point, I'll let you know.
Does the amount of snow accumulating outside of your house and in outside of Chicago, does that make you more frustrated with the Bears or something? Like how does that work now?
If I ever watched the Bears, maybe I'd be frustrated with the Bears. Or if I gave a crap about them, I'm barely frustrated with the Bengals, and I still call myself a Bengals fan. I had to remind myself that Brandon Allen was even their quarterback. No, I'm not frustrated about the Bears. Though it is fun to watch people be frustrated with the Bears, and there's a lot of that on my Twitter. So it's kind of filled the void that used to be there when I used to just laugh at my Browns friends who were always perennially miserable. The Bears have kind of taken that place for me. My only original pro football thoughts usually come in the form of conversations with my dad, who is a hardcore Bengals fan, and we just have man talk about the Bengals and who's good and who's bad, and who's a tough guy and who's a wuss and who's this and this and that. So it's I have much more concrete and interesting conversations with my dad about football than about anybody else, at least when it comes to the pros.
Did you see the Bengals drafted some offensive lineman who wears sleeves?
He wears a mouthpiece even when he's not playing because they're.
Well, your dad won't be mad at the next draft pick for Cincinnati if they're wearing sleeves, especially if that somebody is Jaret Patterson who left early. There's a transition for you.
But yeah, because I'm thinking, who do the Bengals need right now? Another scat back. No, they don't need Jaret Patterson. Like Samaje Perine, of all people, the only person to have more rushing yards in the game than Jaret Patterson is the Bengals' backup running back. Is really the third string running back right now, and they do not need somebody else in that vein. God, please give me an offensive lineman. Can we find another Eric Fisher even? I'm not ready to think about draft stuff yet because I still don't give enough of a crap about pro football. We're here to talk about where Jaret Patterson could help teams. He's an All-American for a reason, right, Alex?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but Jaret Patterson, he declared early as expected. He's the second one to leave after their junior seasons from the MAC. There's him, and then there's receiver Isaiah McCoy out of Kent State. We talked about them earlier. Patterson, of course, had over 1,000 yards in less than half a season and was not a top 10 Heisman finalist, which is bullshit. But you know what? That just goes to show how much you should actually care about the Heisman Trophy and how much you should actually care about watching players play when they're on the field. Jaret Patterson's going to be awesome. I'm excited to see what the conversations for him look like. I actually really love it when I get to hear why excellent players are not as good as we think we are. And it's just an opportunity for me as a fan to kind of learn, what am I actually watching on the field? And when I say someone's good, what should I actually be saying? When I see someone playing well or not doing well, how can I actually point out and say, they could just simply do this and make it better? Or it'll take a while before they get this to, turn their game around. But I think it's attainable because X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Those conversations are going to be hyped up, but those conversations are not going to happen unless we also include how amazing Jaret Patterson is, because he is nothing short of that either.
Yeah, and those types of conversations, I think to give a really explicit example, we'll start to hear from somebody like a Malcolm Kuntz in the coming weeks when pro analysts talk about how much bend does a defensive rusher, edge rusher get out of their rush? How much are they able to keep up speed and leverage with bends? And so we'll hear those conversations about Malcolm Kuntz. We'll hear conversations about Jaret Patterson's ability to, even though they don't have top end speed, make slight cuts that keep him from getting full on contact. How much value is there in that? Is he, a draftable prospect? Even a guy, what do you think he runs? A 4.5 or so, maybe?
I don't know, man. He 4.2. I'm just gonna say 4.2. Everybody runs a 4.2 in my eyes.
Kevin Marks has got more top end speed than Patterson. I don't even think that's in doubt. It's just Patterson's ability to, like, just make the slightest of movements, have wonderful vision, and just make quick decisions, quick cuts. He doesn't have to. He doesn't. He makes a lateral cut. He doesn't travel 8 yards to the side, but he misses. So many guys miss making full contact on him, and everything's like a glancing blow, and that's like the difference in him being able to pick up 10 yards on seemingly every play. So there's got to be value in that. There's got to be. I would think he would get drafted on day 3, would be my guess. But I mean, we've got some other guys. I mean, even just on Buffalo, Antonio Nunn and Coyote Osika from Buffalo, or for the Bulls. Osika, I would think, would be the best prospect. And
probably, yeah,
honestly,
yeah. PFF said that he's one of the best tackles in the America too. He's an All-American, like you said. I think you said that, but he is an All-American.
Football Writers of FWA, Football Writers Association of America, was All-American in that. Yeah.
Yeah. So people with PFF accounts put him as an All-American. Hopefully they do well. This is one of those things where I just don't know what a good player looks like. Obviously he's good. Obviously, a bad player is someone who looks like someone who just keeps tripping over themselves and keeps getting Kyle Vantry sacked. So it'll be interesting to hopefully learn how, or if at all, he can separate himself from everybody else, because everybody needs tackles, and even if he doesn't get drafted, there's still so many ways, and you see it time and time again, where a MAC guy will come into the draft, go undrafted as a lineman, not even be considered by the first couple of teams that try him out, with rookie contracts, and still, by the time they're on their third, fourth, fifth team, they're, they have careers eventually, and they have named for themselves, and then they actually get real contracts after that. So whatever happens to him in April and in May will not define the rest of his career.
Looking at guys who are there are people who are like, oh, I'm going to go to the draft. I don't know what their upside is. Yeah. Tyree Thompson being another guy from Buffalo. He was, one and done from there after playing at UCLA. And then Daniel Crawford from NIU. I could actually see him playing like some spot, like, if I don't know that he's going to make a team right away. I could see him being a guy who plays a couple of years and contributes in some small way. I mean, I saw some really good stuff that made me think he could play pro ball. Maybe it's not even in the NFL. I really don't know, but he got the most out of his time at NIU. He improved a lot over the course of the last 3 seasons of his career, and I'd be very interested in seeing. And then we're going to have other guys that are going to make that decision by the time our next episode rolls around. But I think these Buffalo guys and then Crawford are the most interesting to me in terms of what they can do.
Bowl game, Arizona Bowl. I know you watched the beginning of it. I went out for a walk in public and missed 27 points scored in the first quarter. And I turned on the TV, and I didn't really see anything after that, but that was fine because they scored 27 points in the first quarter. Ball State knocked the freaking teeth out of San Jose State while they were trying to cap off an undefeated season, and they fell way the hell short. How awesome was my boy Johannes Tyler?
I mean, he made some big plays, and obviously the chance to show out at that type of stage is something you really look forward to if you're a team like this, and you've won your conference championship. It's a chance to show other people on the national stage what you've got, and obviously some players for Ball State did that in two big game stages late in the season, and Tyler's one of the people who took advantage of that. Some defenders, Antonio Phillips had a big interception in this game. Again, another big interception for him. Took the pick six back for the score and set the tone early for the defense. Ball State intercepted San Jose State 4 times.
Jimmy Daw had one.
Jimmy Daw. And these guys keep making plays. Jalen Thomas making plays. And so the combination of the early game turnovers, playing with short field early on, and Antoine Davis, I wanted to point out, was like one of those guys who he showed late in the season why he was one of those glue guys. Like, he's not any more talented than half the MAC as far as just top end athleticism or pass catching abilities, in my opinion, but he makes those plays. He makes the hard nose catches that get you into the red zone and put you in scoring position. And he did that a couple times against San Jose State, and I thought that was worth noting. Ball State had the chance to make it worse. It was 27-0 in the second quarter. That Plitt connected with Ty Evans for a ridiculous 20-something yard gain on 4th and 16 because they were in San Jose State territory, if you're up 27-0 in a bowl game and you're on their side of the field, like just go for it. Put the foot down. They did. They converted, and Evans fumbled. San Jose State got the ball back. Ball State would have been near the 20 with a few minutes left in the half, so it could have been worse. This ended up being a 34-13 game. Ball State was a 2-score underdog, and again, they took it personally, and they rallied to that cause. Brought the program its first bowl win in a little bit, and just did a lot of things that showed that the culture's changed there significantly in the just a few short years. And however sold I was on like Mike Neu being a top end coach, like maybe making it to a Power 5 conference in a few years, this game kind of solidified for me that if he's going to have his guys up for this type of game after peaking in the MAC championship, and then looking even better and more put together in the bowl game and keeping them that motivated, I think he's got to be a Power 5 coach in 2 years if he wants it.
Yeah, that or Ball State just needs to rob a bank and
keep
him in Muncie forever.
I mean, good luck doing it. I mean, he's an alum. If he doesn't really have much reason, I mean, part of me thinks like if Tom Allen left the Indiana job and they were willing to shell out for their next head coach, maybe they could go someone like Neu. But as far as that goes, I don't know. But I this is just a long way, of me saying I'm so super impressed with Mike Neu, even now more than I was after the MAC championship game, and his upside's got to be crazy high right now. Bye on Mike Neu.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, this is always my opportunity, and this is part of my brand, I guess, to just remind you that if Mike Neu finds a lot of happiness or just enough happiness in this Ball State job, even though it's not the most paying in the world, stay there as long as you can, because if everyone around you stays happy with what you're doing and like no one gets mad at you if you end up having losing seasons in 2022 and 2023, you might want to stick there for a little bit longer than you realize. Last round of player related news, I guess. We got some transfers coming in and out of the MAC. A couple grad transfers from Buffalo. They're leaving at, Zach Lefebvre from tight end, Roy Baker, defensive back. But probably the biggest one in the MAC that's leaving in this weekly rendition, I guess, is Shane Hooks, wide receiver from Ohio, who has a few years remaining. He has 3 years left of eligibility, but he's leaving early. And Ohio doesn't throw the ball a lot. They love to run the ball. It's just hard to just bring in and keep receivers. So when you have a guy as talented as Hooks, you don't, if he leaves as a grad transfer, that's one thing, but for him to leave with 3 years, that's a real downer for a position group that needs just one or two guys to really show out on the field. Mm-hmm. But you have a little bit of content you want to share on Hooks.
Yeah, and I think, and I love to toot our own horns. And when we were talking earlier in the year about the quarterback position and saying Ohio is going to probably be one of the most run-heavy teams in the country, and obviously with Rourke at the helm, with Nathan Rourke at the helm previously, that made a lot of sense for them to continue to do that. They're continuing to trend in that direction. Each of the since 2016, they have been more run-heavy almost every year. So for looking at 2016, a good, obviously really good Ohio team that year, they were 59th in the country in pass attempts per game. Every year since then, they've been 108th or lower. I mean, even this year, 123rd in the country. That means only about 7 teams, I believe, attempted fewer passes per game than Ohio did. And that's factoring in, a couple triple option attacks, Air Force, or I don't even know about Air Force, probably not even Air Force, Navy and Army specifically. So if you're Shane Hooks and you're seeing this trend and no wide receiver is really kind of producing a ton in this offense, and you're kind of wanting to just, I don't know, expand your horizons, maybe you go to a school where you get to be the guy. I mean, something comes to mind is maybe Shane Hooks goes to Jackson State while they're trying to build something there and open up that aerial attack under Sanders. And a lot of MAC guys have been getting a lot of big FCS offers or HBCU offers that I've seen too, that they're starting to go in that direction. JD Harris from NIU, for example, going to a good FCS in Chattanooga, for example. But yeah, so if you're Ohio, it's great that you've got an identity and it's working for you. I do wonder what their capability is to continue to rake in really good wide receivers is if they continue to follow this trend of being in the bottom quarter of the country every year
Yeah,
in
yeah, it's
pass
kind of
attempts.
hard to like ask receivers to come in and say, hey, how much are you okay with just not wanting the ball, and how much are you okay with being committed to, blocking most of the time, and that's just it's a hard sell. I don't know. I don't want to like judge anybody for not wanting to be part of that because I sure as hell wouldn't. I wouldn't want to like, if I feel like I have like a career ahead of me. And at first, I thought that Ohio would be the right, or whatever school I go to would be the right move for me to start out with. I don't want to have to sit around and wait for quarterbacks to figure out how to throw the ball to me. I
Yeah,
got to get my money. I
yeah,
want to be able to leave early if I can, if I feel that much, if I feel like I'm, that talented,
yeah.
or have that, kind of possibility ahead of me. So, but for whatever reason, the reason is I haven't talked to Shane Hooks. When he tweeted it out, he showed a lot of love towards Athens, and he will always consider it part of his home, and it meant a lot to him. But it is hard for Ohio moving forward to continue to try to sell to receivers. Buffalo did a good job of it, and it was hard for them to do. But still, it's not like Buffalo has Deontay Johnson over there,
Mhm.
blocking 50 times a game for them. They have other guys that we really haven't heard of and we're still trying to learn their names right now. Like Trevor Wilson, he was
Yeah,
the receiver that we learned this year. But we only learn a receiver or two out of Buffalo every year.
yeah. And so,
And so, and
what?
yeah, like you said, like Ohio's in the same position, and it's kind of hard for them moving forward.
Yeah, and like Buffalo, the one thing they've kind of got in their favor, and I will shout this out. So this was the post that pointed me in this direction was Patascala from Bobcat Attack's message board. Um, they have been doing really well during that time frame I gave you that I provided. That they've been doing really well in yards per catch. So yards per attempt, yards per catch. Like they're the balancing act of running the ball so much that you can throw it pretty far. It works out in that sense, but yeah, you pointed out kind of what is the response to that. If you can't guarantee any catches, why? I can definitely understand wanting to take your chances somewhere else.
Caleb, happy belated New Year to you and everyone here.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
do you have any New Year's resolutions that you want to see out of yourself or out of Mac football in general?
So how about for Mac football? Mine is I want to see the collective level of the East raised so that there's more parity. Obviously, Buffalo was the team this year, and Kent State was supposed to challenge, didn't have the defense. We saw some improvement from Akron, and then Miami and Ohio just didn't get to show everything they would have liked to have shown. With a full season next year, my resolution for the East is to raise the collective level so that there's more parity at the top. My personal one is I've talked a lot about wanting to expand what we do in terms of content with the league. We'll have a lot of content for you in the off season. We're going to keep that up, obviously, with Monday episodes. So my resolution for myself is at least a dozen Mac specific interviews this off season. Hopefully, getting the first one to you guys sometime in the next 2 weeks for sure.
Yeah, personal one, I guess like MFF related. I do want to get our follower count up. I know followers aren't everything, but it does help, with traffic, of course. And it means that there's some sort of level of give a shitness for the Mac and the
Right.
way we do it. So I want more people to give a shit about us, and I want to get our follower count up on the socials, YouTube and the Twitter. So do tell your friends about us if you would like. I'll just say right now, we are working on a message board. We don't know when it's going to come out, but it will come out sometime this calendar year, and we've been working on it the past month or so. Just going to be Mac football related pretty much all throughout, and we also have some spaces for specific fan bases to get together and congregate online.
Mm-hmm.
The other personal one I have for myself is to regress in every other way. I only want to be a
Right.
stupider person. I don't want to read any books. I don't want to be smarter. I don't want to give more. I don't want to care about the poor people. I don't. No, I don't.
Whoa.
I don't want
Whoa.
progress to
Whoa.
happen.
Whoa.
No. I don't care. No, I'm going to get it started the right way and only look out for number one. But for the Mac, I want the Mac specifically. I want Eastern's offensive playbook to realize that the greatest. What I'm saying is the best thing we could have learned out of football is something that changed or something that could be adapted into plays moving forward is after you throw the ball downfield, pitch it to someone behind you. There's a lot of yards in that. And there needs to be more design plays at that. I'm very serious. Did you see the way Rutgers played football this year? It was awesome, actually.
No, I don't know if I know
It
what
was
you're
actually a
referring
lot
to.
of fun. It was actually a lot of fun. Give it a shot.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is do something different and you will move forward.
Ah. Rest in peace, Doom.
Yeah. Rest in peace, MF Doom. 2021 won't be fun because MF Doom won't be here, but 2021 will be okay because we still have Maction.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Again, I'm Alex. That's Caleb. Follow us on the internets. Anything else you want to say before we split?
Happy New Year. Don't expect this year to be significantly better. Just do things better and try to be better.